BRICS Bulls Show daily podcast by and for you.
Now, ever imagine yourself like sipping coffee on a balcony overlooking a skyline that rivals Dubai?
Nuh-uh.
But it's in Ethiopia.
No. Well, buckle up because today's deep dive is all about Ethiopia's economic boom. And trust me, you're going to want to hear how one country in particular is basically running the show.
We're going deep into an article from the BRICS joint website.
Yeah.
You know, Brazil, Russia, India, China, that whole crew.
Right.
And since their website is laser focused on like all the businessy stuff happening within the BRICS nations, we're getting a pretty exclusive look behind the scenes here.
Definitely.
So they come right out and say it. Chinese investment is the backbone of Ethiopia's economic success.
And we're not talking chump change here. Try a mind-blowing 3,309 projects with a cool 8.5 billion, that's billion with a B, US dollars pumped straight into the Ethiopian economy.
Wow.
8.5 billion. Just let that sink in for a sec. So given the bigger picture, what's your take on those numbers?
Well, 8.5 billion is nothing to scoff at, that's for sure.
Right.
And you're right, that kind of cash injection for a developing country like Ethiopia, it's a total game changer. But here's the thing, it's not just about the money itself, you know. It's like planting a seed. That investment, it's a commitment to growth.
Okay, I like this.
Jobs, for one. The article mentions something like 325,400 new jobs created, which is massive.
That's huge.
Yeah, but it's also about transferring knowledge, building up essential infrastructure, the stuff that really sets the stage for like long-term success.
Absolutely, got to have that solid foundation. Speaking of foundations, the article highlights the Eastern Industrial Zone as a prime example of this Chinese investment style in action.
Okay, yeah.
This zone, built entirely by Chinese investors, now houses over 150 companies and is seen as like the blueprint for where Ethiopia wants to go with its industrial future.
Interesting.
So is this like a go-to move for Chinese investment in Africa, this whole industrial zone thing?
Yeah, it's definitely gaining popularity. Think of these industrial zones as like self-contained economic ecosystems. It makes a lot of sense strategically. You create a central hub where businesses can thrive, share resources, and benefit from a more streamlined regulatory environment.
Gotcha.
We've seen similar zones popping up all over Africa, actually, often with China at the helm. But it's important to remember no system is perfect, right?
Right.
There are valid concerns about things like fair labor practices and minimizing environmental impact. It's all about striking that balance.
Right. And to be fair, Ethiopia isn't putting all their eggs in one basket either. The article mentions that they attracted a hefty $3.9 billion in total foreign direct investment just this year.
Wow.
A 14% jump.
Right.
So it's not just China. Clearly, everyone wants a piece of the action. What's got investors so hyped about Ethiopia right now?
Well, first off, you can't beat Ethiopia's location.
Yeah.
Geographically, it's in a prime spot for trade, which is obviously huge for any business.
Makes sense.
Then there's the fact that Ethiopia is incredibly resource rich. And on top of that, the government's been making a real push to attract foreign investors, creating a much more business-friendly environment.
So it's like they're sending a clear message. Ethiopia is open for business.
Exactly.
And we can't forget about the potential of Ethiopia's growing population, right? That's a consumer market that's just getting started. For businesses, that's incredibly appealing.
It's like a gold rush, but in slow motion.
Yeah, kinda.
It really does feel like we're seeing all the pieces fall into place, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
All these factors sort of converging
to
create this incredible moment for Ethiopia's economy.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a second.
Okay.
Think bigger picture here. What does this kind of like economic shift really mean in the long run?
Both for Ethiopia and for the entire African continent.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
On the one hand, you've got this potential for just like absolutely explosive growth and development. Think about it. Increased investment leads to better infrastructure, more jobs, a higher quality of life for everyday Ethiopians, and that ripple effect that could easily boost other African nations as well.
Yeah.
We could be talking about a seismic shift in the global economy here.
Yeah.
You know, with Africa stepping up as a major power player.
Okay, no, that's exciting.
It's huge.
Seeing Africa emerge as this, like, economic powerhouse on the world stage, that would be incredible.
Absolutely. But, and this is a big but, we have to acknowledge the potential downsides that come with this kind of rapid growth, too.
Of course. Yeah.
There are environmental concerns, like we touched on earlier.
Right.
Then there's the whole issue of potential debt burdens if loans aren't managed carefully.
Right.
And we can't forget the social implications either.
Yeah.
We need to make absolutely sure that the benefits of this economic boom are shared fairly.
Absolutely.
And that no communities are pushed aside or left behind in the process.
It's like walking a tightrope, isn't it?
It really is.
Finding that balance between progress,
Right.
but then also making sure things are sustainable and equitable for everyone involved.
Yeah, you said it.
Right.
It all comes down to finding that sweet spot where economic development goes hand in hand with social progress and a deep respect for the environment.
Right.
And let's be real, that takes meticulous planning, transparent governance, and a genuine commitment to inclusivity at every level.
That's no small feat.
No.
It's not. But it sounds like Ethiopia might just be up for the challenge, wouldn't you say?
I think so, yeah.
They've got the momentum, they've got the resources, and they seem to have that drive to really seize this opportunity.
They do.
If you had to pick, like, what are some key things to watch for in the coming years? What are the real indicators that'll tell us whether Ethiopia is on the right track towards sustainable and inclusive growth?
Those are some great questions.
And it all circles back to what we've been discussing.
Okay.
Keep a close eye on how they handle the environmental impact of all this development. Are they prioritizing renewable energy? What about sustainable practices in their agriculture and manufacturing industries? These are all crucial signs to watch for.
So it's about looking beyond the immediate economic gains and considering the long-term health of the country, right?
Exactly.
And of course, the social aspect is just as crucial.
Of course.
Are average Ethiopians seeing their wages increase? Is access to education and healthcare improving? Are local communities reaping the benefits of these new industries, or are they being left out?
Right.
Those factors are the real barometers of whether this economic growth is actually translating into meaningful human development.
It's not just about bigger numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about creating a more prosperous and fairer society for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
It really is about more than just dollars and cents, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about uplifting lives, opening doors, making sure everyone benefits from this this wave of prosperity.
Right.
Easier said than done, obviously.
For sure.
But it feels like that's like the true measure of success when you look at the big picture.
I think so too, yeah.
This whole deep dive has been really eye-opening, honestly.
It has.
There's just so much to unpack when it comes to Ethiopia's economic journey.
Yeah.
And what it could mean not just for Ethiopia, but for the future of Africa as a whole.
Right, the whole continent.
Before we wrap things up here, any parting thoughts for our listeners out there, the folks keeping up with all this?
You know, I think at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we're witnessing a really pivotal chapter unfolding in Ethiopia's story. A chapter full of possibility, obviously.
Right.
But also one that demands careful consideration and really deliberate action.
Right.
The choices being made right now, they're going to echo for generations to come.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a story that's still being written, you know, and
Yeah.
it's one we should all be paying close attention to.
Beautifully said.
So to our listeners out there, we'll leave you with this. Keep your eyes on Ethiopia.
Yes.
This is a nation on the rise. They're making waves. And the world is watching with bated breath to see what happens next.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Who knows what the future holds, but one thing's for sure. It's going to be fascinating to watch it all unfold.
Couldn't agree more.
That's it for us this week on The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.